Right now, somewhere on your phone, there is a zero. You typed it without thinking. You have never once wondered where it came from. But the real answer is far stranger than a math class ever told you. That zero was not always obvious. For most of human history, most civilizations had no symbol for nothing at all. And the place that changed that was not Greece. It was not Rome. It was a stretch of land along the Indus and Ganges rivers over 1,000 years before Europe would catch up. You have heard the modern story of India. Crowded streets, recent independence, a developing economy still finding its footing. But go back far enough, and you find something almost unrecognizable. Cities with underground sewage systems before the pyramids of Giza were finished. Universities holding tens of thousands of students while most of the world could not read. Surgeons performing nose reconstructions 2,000 years before anesthesia existed anywhere else. This is not myth. This is documented, excavated, and in some cases still standing today. Start with the ground itself. In the 1920s, archaeologist Mortimer Wheeler led excavations at a place called Mohenjo-Daro, in what is now Pakistan, part of the ancient Indus Valley civilization. What his team uncovered stunned them. Straight streets, laid out in a grid, brick homes with private bathrooms, and beneath the city, a covered drainage network carrying waste away from every house. This was roughly 2,500 BCE. Rome would not build anything comparable for another 2,000 years. Why does a Bronze Age city have better sanitation than medieval London? Ask that question, and the answer says something uncomfortable about how we define advanced. Decades later, archaeologist Jonathan Mark Canoyer continued studying these Indus cities and found something even stranger. No grand palaces, no obvious king's tomb loaded with treasure. Just uniform brick sizes across hundreds of miles, standardized weights used from city to city, and almost no visible weapons in the ruins. A civilization that may have run on trade and infrastructure rather than conquest. You picture ancient power as swords and thrones. Here, power might have looked like plumbing and shared measurement. Strange, right? Move forward almost 2,000 years, past the Indus cities, into what historians call India's classical age. This is where the zero enters the story properly. Indian mathematicians were not the first to use a placeholder in counting, but it was the astronomer and mathematician Brahmagupta, working in the 7th century, who first treated zero as a true number, one you could add, subtract, and multiply with actual rules. Before him, zero was a gap. After him, zero was a citizen of mathematics. That single shift is why you can do basic arithmetic today without losing your mind. It traveled from India to the Islamic world, then into Europe, centuries later, disguised in what we still call Arabic numerals. The numerals are Indian. The path was just long, and zero was not alone. The decimal place value system, the one where the position of a digit changes its meaning, 10, 100, 1,000, was refined in India before it existed anywhere else in that complete form. You use it every time you read a price tag. You have never once thanked it. Now picture a university, not a small school, a university city. In the region of Bihar, starting around the 5th century CE, there was a place called Nalanda. Chinese scholar and traveler Xuanzang visited in the 7th century and described it in his own writings. Thousands of monks and students, dormitories, lecture halls, a library so large that when it eventually burned, some accounts describe it smoldering for months. Students traveled from China, Korea, and Central Asia just to study there. Subjects ranged from medicine to logic to astronomy. This was functioning while much of early medieval Europe had only a handful of monasteries doing basic copying of old texts. Why does this version of history rarely make it into a textbook? That is a question worth sitting with. Medicine tells a similar story. In ancient India, a physician named Sushruta compiled a text now called the Sushruta Samhita, believed to date back roughly 2,600 years.